Hey everyone, so here are the trade recaps for the 26th of January, Tuesday. So the first trade that I took that closed today was actually gold. So I took this during the New York session. So as we can see on the 4-hour, price is actually making some kind of wedge pattern, and then we're now at the end of the wedge, so it's a bit harder to trade, and we can see that just this area alone, gold is actually ranging. So I went down to the 15, and then I saw that price was actually, so I went down on the 15 and I saw that price has actually been making lower highs, and this was the latest lower high. So right at the New York Stock Exchange open, I saw that this area actually this latest swing respected my, it did break above bullish, but it then came down and respected and closed below my 78 feet. So I then took it short when the next candle actually pushed up first, created a top wick, and then flipped bearish. I took it short with my stop loss above this resistance, and I was aiming for this 4-hour zone at 1850. So price then made lower highs. So at entry, the 30-minute and the 4-hour and the 1-hour had already made a rejection previously to that 1-hour area. So if you look at the 1-hour, is the same thing. So this wick, so both of them had already rejected and closed with this wick. So I went down to the 15, and when the candle closed like a strong bearish candle, equal size as the previous bullish candle, plus the top wick and a flip bullish to tell me that price wants to, flip bearish to tell me that price wants to continue down to fill this clean candle on the left, and then potentially down to these areas as it is clean on the 30-minute. So I was patient with this trade as I knew that there was some news going on, but it wasn't high impact, so I left it alone. And then finally price did a really quick push down right into my TP area, but it missed by 1 or 2 pips, and then it flipped back bullish. So it triggered my stop loss at break even once it broke these lows over here. But I should have been quicker to, as it was retracing, to just close off the entire trade. So once price actually pushed back above these highs on the previous 15-minute body, I took off 50% of the trade, and then I left the rest BE. So it got stopped out when this next candle then retraced and then tapped my break-even price. So this was a very quick trade. I think for gold, I shouldn't target the whole numbers because sometimes it might just miss it. So this was my lesson learned on this trade here. So the next trade that I took was actually on GJ. So this trade is still open. It's still running. Right now, the original idea came because this level here. So if I pull it from this swing low to this recent swing high here to here, because it broke all these levels, I was waiting for a retracement after price was still coming down yesterday. So I was waiting to see if price could actually come into this area around my weekly level, because on the weekly we see that it was making lower highs and lower lows all the way on the top here. So I knew that in order for price to actually break through that strong resistance, I would need some kind of deeper pullback to this level of resistance on the weekly before price could then get the momentum to push up. So when this next candle on the 4-hour actually made this liquidity wick down to this level of support and then close back above, bullish above my monthly level, I was quite confident that the trade would continue back up. So even though that there was some news inside this candle from the BOJ, which caused the yen to weaken and pound to strengthen, my criteria for entry was on this next candle, I needed the wick to not break this support. So if it didn't break this support, the likelihood of it flipping bullish and continuing higher to fill this clean move over here the probability was higher. So when this first criteria was met and the trade flipped bullish, because we were at the twilight zone, the slower period of the day, I waited also for this recent resistance on the 30-minute to break. So when this candle broke above it, slightly around my entry, and then I took it with my stop loss still below the 4-hour structure, below this support here. So that was the trade that I'm holding overnight to go into the London session tomorrow. So I closed off 75% at this area, because earlier on the 30-minute and the 1 hour, no, sorry, on the 30-minute, price actually stopped a little around the previous daily resistance at 142.100. So I decided to be a bit more careful with it in case it came back down to hit my stop loss. So that was how I managed this trade so far. Right now, my stop loss is sitting below this area. I'm just going to leave it because on this latest swing, I see that this area here is between my 4-hour and daily zone, is actually lying in between the FIB prime area. So if it does retrace, it might hold this zone and then continue up. So I'm just going to give it a bit more space. That's why I have my stop loss below this level of structure here. So once this resistance breaks, I will then trail my stop loss to below this zone over here, and then I'll take it further up. My first targets on this trade would look to secure at this previous daily high on the left at 142.700, which is this wick. So that's an area that I'll be watching out for. So these were the intraday trades that I took. So on the separate account that I have for the swings, I took a long trade over here after price kept rejecting and holding, forming support at my 4-hour zone. When this candle finally broke on the 1 hour, I took my entry long. Sorry, it's over here. I took my entry long, and then I trailed it up. So I was trailing my stop loss as price was breaking structure. So I was aiming for this previous highs over here at 89,160, because this was the previous level of resistance where price has had problems closing. So when this trade actually broke on the 1 minute, on the 1 hour, broke the resistance on the 1 hour, I trailed my stop loss below this area and locked it in profit. So finally, when it broke again above this resistance over here, I then trailed my stop loss below this most recent support. So the swing trades are fairly easy. How I manage them usually is by setting alarms at certain key areas. So like, for example, here I was watching out for this 1 hour support to break. So I would just set my alarm near the area, and then once it breaks, I'll come into the charts and have a look. Most of the times, I don't really touch it since I know that they are a lot slower. So I risked 2% on this trade, managed to come out with about 2.13% when this thing broke its support and then hit my stop loss in profit. The other trade that I took was actually on EJ. So the idea on this trade was, to me, EJ is actually looking bearish, and this whole swing actually held around the 50 FIB level. So it's not the cleanest, because it didn't really hold below it. The bodies were kind of cutting through, but I took this resistance to mean something after it broke through my daily zone. When it broke this 1 hour resistance over here on the left, I took my entry short with my stop loss above this 1 hour resistance here. The next candle then pushed down lower, breaking also the 4-hour zone. But after that, because there was some BOJ meeting, when the candle flipped bullish and then broke above my zone, I cut off the entire trade because it was news induced, and I didn't know how far it would push EJ up. So I thought that I would be better being careful with this trade. Since also on the next candle that formed, it barely had a bottom wick. So I knew that we might have a problem coming down back short. So initially, I was watching to see if on the retracement, price could hold either this 4-hour zone. If not, then this 1-hour zone over here. But it didn't, and then it managed to even break above the 1-hour zone. So I thought better to be safe than sorry. I cut the entire trade, which I'm glad I did because price has still been continuing higher. Yeah, so covered yesterday's losses. Trade is still running on GJ. Yeah, day by day. So if you took a loss today, doesn't matter, just come back the next day. Don't overtrade. So I hope everything was useful today. The swing trades were just something that I decided to do this year. So I hope everyone ended the day positive, and then I'll see everybody on the live streams tomorrow.